All right. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, John.
All right.
This week we're gonna go through lesson 5. We've gone through the first 4 lessons of the LMS. This week we're looking to go through lesson 5, which is the Virtues for Success program. It's a very, very important part of the LMS because knowing the Virtues for Success program that your mentees go through with TRP for 16 weeks is very critical to building a good foundation for your mentee-mentor relationship. Thanks for being with me this Saturday. As always, I want to start off by allowing you, our mentors, the heart of our program, to express any issues that you guys are having. And that's an open floor.
I know.
Well, good morning. This is Artie.
Morning, Artie.
We're having technical difficulties with the video for some reason, but we're just getting back into well, I guess we need to get mentees again. I had 2 in the past, and I spoke with them, and then they both fell off. And then there were so many different changes that I currently don't have any mentee, or nor does Maria. So we're we've spoken to Tish and you as well, John, and working on getting our training done, and that way we can get mentees again and get this rolling. We're looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I had Michael Hoffman and Bobby Campbell at one time, but those are the guys that I haven't heard from in a long time. So,
Okay.
I
believe Michael Hoffman is doing well working with his family, but I don't know about the other gentleman.
okay, good deal. I'll try to follow up.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna get you linked up as soon as possible, Artie.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
John and Alan, I'm kind of wondering about David Hay. Is he just not very good at answering, or? I mean, he seems to be doing okay, but when
Actually,
I email him, go ahead.
What email do you have, Chuck?
I have Hey David.
That's the problem.
Uh-oh.
So we'll email you that email.
Did he
Yeah.
change?
Otherwise, it's exactly like that, but not Hey David. It's Hey Dave.
Oh, that's my bad. It actually is Hey Dave.
Yep. So Hey Dave, he's doing really well. In fact, he just got his 90-day $100 gift card for keeping a job for 90 days. Yes.
Sweet. Well, that's good. At least I know he's doing okay. And he's just like me. He's slow to respond. I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to make sure he's okay.
All right. Next time we contact him, we'll make sure to put a word in for you.
I'm not always real good at getting back either, so I'm nobody to throw rocks at somebody who's slow to respond.
Morning, Ron. Charles. John.
Hey, good morning.
Anyone else? For those that joined on a little late, we're just talking about any issues that any mentees have had or mentors have had this month. Anything on your plate, anything on your mind. This is your time.
Hey, not an issue or concern. My second mentee was released a few weeks ago, and it was just a much better process than my earlier mentee when he was released about a year and a half ago. So it was encouraging. He's getting acclimated. Looks like doing the right thing so far. So kind of a much less problematic release than with the gentleman I've been working with. So that was very encouraging to see.
Mhm.
And all of that, a lot of that because of the help of you folks on the call. So appreciate it.
And we thank you as well, because you were a really strong advocate for him before he was even released, making sure that we were in tune, that we were ready for his release. And that's exactly what we look for in our mentors, to make those communications and do advocate for their mentees. And with that, we'll get into lesson 5 from our LMS training. Lesson 5 is actually about the Virtues for Success curriculum. And that is the foundation of TRP. That is the foundation of what we do here. Our mission is to eliminate recidivism through education, mentorship, and employment. And education is the first step. Our students, or our fellows, before they become fellows, are students. They go through a 16-week course, in which the foundation is our 4 virtues. For those that don't know, our 4 virtues are wisdom, courage, self-control, and justice. And we really encourage our mentors to utilize those virtues when communicating with their mentees. I have a habit of, at the end, putting all 4 virtues at the end of my messages, text messages, and emails, just to give a little reminder. Those are kind of grounding words for our fellows, because a lot of individuals, when they go through our Virtues for Success program, they're just being introduced to these virtues. Some are coming in and not really realizing that they have a choice to be virtuous. And so I've gotten a lot of feedback from teachers that have taught this program, that some individuals really respond and are grounded by these virtues and what's being taught in the Virtues for Success program. I've also spoken with fellows who talk about their experience in the prison, going through the Virtues for Success program, and that in between those weeks they had time to really fellowship with their brothers and get an understanding of what each lesson meant. And so it was something that, for most of the individuals that have gone through our program, is it's a very key thing for their rehabilitation, right? And so we encourage our mentors to continuously stress those virtues. Wrong way. The section 1 of our Virtues for Success program is the path to success, right? It talks about having a growth mindset. It talks about increasing the confidence by taking action, learning from our mistakes, changing their perspective, and picking the right motivation. Those are all key, especially having a growth mindset. If you remember, in last week's lesson, we went over growth mindset. And it's very important to keep those things at the forefront of our mentee's mind. Increasing confidence through taking action. Good morning, Meg. And that's to stifle procrastination. It's funny, when I saw this, it brought me back to when I was in prison. There was a guy I know, Alafu Kwan. He's doing a life bid for murder. We're looking to get that overturned. We believe he's innocent, but he was a very strong mentor of mine. Someone I call an enlightener. And he asked me a simple question at the beginning of our journey. He said, "What is preventing you from your highest level of success?" And it came very quick: procrastination. And that was a common theme, inside procrastination, and getting through that by taking action, making sure to take action. If you got to go down and get a license, figure out how to go down. If you have to walk, if you have to take the bus, really looking at the options to complete tasks and not giving up on that. Oh, I don't have a ride, I guess I'll stay home. No, giving advice toward taking action toward their success. That's what increases the confidence. Section 2 talks about the foundations of success: understanding the self, body, and mind, uh, understanding the self, soul, and mind. Sorry, the self, the body, and the soul. And so, going through that, I've heard, just speaking with guys that have taught the class, that in this portion, people really come alive, if you will, right? And understand that when you're working from the self, that core of you, you have control. When you're working from the core of yourself, you make decisions for what you do, right? Which is one of the things that actually attracted me to the Redemption Project, because there aren't too many people that speak in those terms, right? Of how you can control your choices by controlling you, right? Um, and section 3 is about thinking for success. Normal thinking versus critical thinking, um, how truth shapes our thinking, right? Logic in the tool that it is, and how to utilize logic, reason, and then understanding that critical thinking brings the change that leads to success, right? Um, Really having the ability to critically think and critically analyze situations with emotional intelligence uh, is one of the biggest hurdles for guys coming home. It's very easy, especially if you've done a lot of time, where prison is very closed. You get into a routine, you get into a very simple way of life, right? And coming out, everything gets complex and complicated, right? So being able to critically think and utilize, hey, I've had a steady routine. This is what I've done. This is why I've done it. Now I have all of these choices. I may do different things, but it will follow similar to that routine that's gotten me here, right? And it's important to realize there is a mindset that got you here, because most of our fellows, as we said, have gone through the Virtues for Success program. They've interacted with mentors, they've interacted with TRP staff, and so we kind of have an idea of where their mindset is. Now it's getting them to the level of being able to critically analyze things in ways that leads to success. Oh, and by the way, when we go through our LMS, um, each of these sections gives you kind of a summary of how to utilize each of these sections with your mentee, right? Section 4 is about the actual virtues for success. And so they go through virtues versus vices, the virtue of wisdom, the virtue of courage, the virtue of self control, and the virtue of justice. And so I've looked at working with my mentees a certain way, and it came from early on. Actually, Odell, I was in a conversation with, I forget the fellow, um, and he spoke in the terms but straight, like, well, how was that making a wise decision? How was that utilizing wisdom? You know, are you courageous in making that choice? Did you display self-control? And at the end of it, what is the justice that took place in this interaction, right? And it really gives a baseline to have that conversation, because uh, in the VFS program in the prison, it's not being taught. They're having discussions about what these things mean, and so through these discussions, when you bring these things back up, it brings up these discussions. And so I suggest fully to utilize these four virtues in communication, in the verbiage of your communication with your mentees. Hey, Linda. Section 5 is a future of success. Section 5 really puts together how to develop good character and how good character leads to a successful way of living, a successful way of life. How to become the best version of yourself, right? And those are things that we all strive for. You know, I don't really care what level you're at, you know, in your life, what age, what financial bracket. We're all looking to become the best versions of ourselves, right? And this portion, I really suggest utilizing yourself, because when it comes to success, we may all view what success looks like from a different perspective, but the feeling is the same, right? And so, really giving an individual, first of all, the hope that they can be successful, giving them an idea that, you know, I'm not a perfect person. I went through a lot to gain my level of success, a lot personally. If you haven't been incarcerated, I'm sure you can find and think of some obstacles that you had to go through to get to where you are, right? And remember, the feeling is the same, right? We have this discussion a lot. I had groups, fellowship groups, and you know, when people get to comparing, you know, who had it worse, who was more of a have-not, and you know, had to go through this in my life, and I had to go through that. You know, we get to a point and we say, okay, how did that make you feel? No, we'll take the next person. How did that make you feel? And the adjectives are very similar, right? It made me feel terrible. It made me feel sad. It made me feel depressed, right? And we all have those same feelings. And so just know that you're qualified for working with human beings, just being a human being. It doesn't matter if they've been to prison and you haven't. We all have and experience the same feelings, right? And creating and developing good character that lasts, becoming good men and women, are what we're promoting. Um, that when I speak about TRP, in the community, or when I speak about TRP at a resource fair or something, that's what I promote. Self-development, right? That is the core of what TRP really offers, an opportunity to look at yourself critically and develop yourself into the best version of yourself, right? And as mentors, we're the medium for that, right? We're the connectors of the VFS program, TRP staff support, and then our mentors. Our mentors are the medium for that, because you're the direct person if they have an issue that they'll contact, and you can contact us, or you can look to get resources. And so it's really important that we go through looking at their character development as a prime thing, because that's what we do with the VFS program. I would suggest going to the LMS and going to lesson 5 and going through. There's when you scroll down a little bit, it's kind of toward the end. You'll see a spot where there are 9 boxes. One says choice, one says life domains, loss of control, planning success for a good life, motivation. Please go to that section when you get a little bit of time and flip those boxes over. And just to add on, for those who weren't at previous consortiums, please, when you're going through the LMS program, flip over all of the boxes, just because if not, it doesn't actually register that you completed the LMS. So please flip over all of those boxes. Because one of those on there is SMART goals, right? And if you don't know what SMART goals are, simple, measurable, timely,
Attainable, I believe.
Yes, attainable, realistic, and timely. Yeah, I ran a mentor program for kids for years. I should know that by heart. But going through simple things like SMART goals, it sounds simple for anybody that's been an educator. I know you've done it for years, right? But those are things that, just like as an educator, is at the foundation of a child's learning process, right? Learning something like SMART goals. It applies in the same way, right? Because when you're coming out of an incarcerated state, it's just like coming out of the womb. You're opening your eyes in a brand new world, right? And we're kind of the guide, kindergarten teachers, if you will, holding hands and really helping walk that person through the foundation of reassimilating back into society. And then at the end of the Virtues for Success program, they're given a final exam. If they are mentors of yours and have become fellows, it means they passed the final exam. And once you become a fellow with TRP, we always say you're a fellow for life. And that's how we have this TRP family. That's lesson 5. First of all, any questions on anything we went over? Nope. All right. So before we go over the final lesson, lesson 6, next week, we will be going over TRP. I'll be giving everyone an update on TRP, our mentorship program, where we stand. As Artie had said earlier, we went through a lot of changes, a lot of different changes, and I really, really thank those that have stuck in and stuck through these changes with me. And with TRP, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea how much. But we will be going through, um, explaining some of those changes and some of the changes that are coming up. Yes.
A question. You mentioned that next week. Did you mean next month?
Next month. Sorry. Yes.
I just want to clarify that I'm not missing something. That I like. What did I? All right, it's next month's meeting. Okay, that's all I need to clarify.
Next month's meeting. Right. And for those that didn't get the email, it is every third Saturday, and you will be getting an email on Monday with May's date and May's link. Thank you. Tom's not on right now, but thank you, Tom and Tish, for getting me organized in that regard.
A quick one, John. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Did we talk about informationally giving our mentors on this call direction in case their mentees ask them about specific resources that they can actually direct them to their transitions departments initially in the facilities that they're in?
You're on talking about it right now.
So for the mentors on this call, I just wanted you to know that if you reach out to some of your mentees and they ask you for certain, guidance or directions in regards to, I would list like a couple of things, like I don't know where to get my driver's license when I come out, or I'm going to be releasing to XYZ county. I don't really know what to expect in that county, or even simple things like I want to write my resume. I'm not sure how to do it. All of the facilities have what is called a transitions department that actually allows them to leave their cells at any time, or at least mostly any time of the day or week, for 2 hours to go in there and actually gain all of these resources. And they actually have transitions coordinators that will help them through all of the process. So if they ask you for things like that, you can always direct them to us as well, but you can also bring that up because all of the facilities have that. They help them get their driver's license while they're still incarcerated, help them get their social security card, help them get resumes built, help them get interviewing assistance, a whole bunch of stuff, and county specific information. The problem is, some of them don't know about this, and then B, maybe they forget. So just in case, I just wanted to put it out there that if they reach out or ask these questions, direct them first to the transitions department. If they say they don't find or haven't been able to find the information, then we can always assist as well.
All right, that was really good information. That would help you. That's really good resources as a mentee to explain to our as a mentor to explain to our mentees so that they can get that assistance while they're still incarcerated, right? Artie?
Yeah, sorry about the video. We've been trying to get it worked out. But currently, like in the federal system, when I left, they got our Social Security card and they got a birth certificate copy. And that was 2017 when I got out. Currently, a lot of the guys that I speak with that are still friends, they're just sending them out. They're sending them out with no Social Security card, no birth certificate. And it's been an issue, I know, in the federal system and for the people that I'm speaking to. And it's hard. Guys come out and they don't have their ID and they can't get ID because they're so short of staff in so many places. They're coming out with no paperwork, and it's a hard thing for these guys to try to get on their feet when they're supposed to be getting it and be able to go and speak to their case manager, and they can't. Have y'all experienced that with any of the places?
So I can speak to the state side of the house, and I completely agree with that. Even on state side, some of the case managers is not as responsive as you would expect. However, in the state prisons or facilities that I'm aware of, they do have those transitions departments, right? Now in the federal, I'm guessing they don't, which is fine. It sucks, but it's fine. At that point, we can then take over and kind of help them. Myself or Alan can give them direction and say, here's where you need to go. I can help you quickly, like do quick research and find out partial information about your county. But you're completely correct. I know that it's happened where some of them don't get that stuff, but like I said, in the state it's completely different. They really push to try and get them that information. Ironically, some people don't take advantage of those resources. Like they will get you your driver's license for free as long as you don't have fine. If you have reinstatement fees, they'll actually give you printed documentation to waive your reinstatement fee if you've been incarcerated for more than 3 years. So the state is completely different from federal. But I acknowledge that even that happens sometimes in state, especially with early release that they're doing now. At that point, then we can help them. We can still give them additional resources. But yeah, I know it's fed and state completely different.
Thank you.
So I can speak as a former federal probation officer with individuals who came to the community without these I-9 requirements that they would need to get a job and those kind of things. I was shocked when I first started work and that people would come out with the Social Security card and that's it. I think their only requirement at that time was they had to identify that the person in that prison was who they said they were, so they would get a Social Security card. Not taking into consideration that you can't get anything with a Social Security card. You can get something with your birth certificate. And so, yes, a lot of people are coming out behind the 8 ball with that because, and I'll just be quite frank and honest with you. I find case managers in the federal system that I can speak of because I've worked and had to deal with extremely lazy, just not going to do more than the bare minimum. And if a person, now what they will offer them is the opportunity to use their canteen money or whatever you want to call it to obtain these items, which, they're making 25, 50 cents an hour. Top pays $1 something. And these people, these individuals are in the institution and they're not able to, or willing to, to obtain these things. You would think that if you have somebody's freedom for 10, 15, 20 years, that you would at least give them what they needed to come out and have a chance to obtain employment, housing, and those kind of things. That's just not the case. So anybody, and these may be conversations that you can have with your mentees. Hey, do you have your I-9 requirements there? Are they, or are they in the community with your mom or somebody who has them? And if they do have them, make sure that you confirm that these things are literally in their hands, because people it's a problem. It really is. It's a major problem, both federally and with the departments of corrections, that people are coming out because you want them to hit the street. I won't say running, but literally in a position where if they're going to go apply for a job, they have the information that they need in order to be eligible to work. I've had many people come out and I'll shorten this up. They come out. They live in Minnesota, but they're from Chicago. Then they find out that the middle name, the name that they were living under all their life, is not the actual name on the birth. I mean, there's all kinds of issues that you would think that if they were incarcerated for 15 years, that they could have addressed. That here they are now in the community, and now they're trying, like the Dickens, to obtain things that I consider, simple identification. So those are things that I think will be important that you may want to talk about, or at least, just maybe just start of an idea for us. Maybe you won't have to do it because we're going to do it while they're in. Scratch that. We'll take that responsibility. We'll have the education director, address these things, before they come out, so we can actually try to figure out. The good thing is, and I can speak federally, is that both of the halfway houses that the BOP uses here, and this is not everywhere, but they have resources where they're able to get people the money to go and get their identification really quickly if they're from Minnesota. But they also have able to get them the money to send out to where they live to get it. We have a basilica here that's what they do on a very regular basis. And So we know we can adjust, but then of course now you got to figure how long is it going to take to get it. If they're from here, they can get it right away. If they're not, then obviously they've got to send out the information. Make sure that it's done correctly, and then wait for it to come back. And sometimes that's weeks, sometimes that's months. For individuals who are coming out and are expected to begin their reentry with employment, and getting prepared for for living a life outside of an institution. So it does make it more difficult, but that's why we're here. I mean, it's a little easier for those who have some support and have individuals who could say, "Hey, be patient." I mean, seriously, it is difficult when you're ready to move on, and then all of a sudden, you just don't have something that most Americans have, and they get them relatively easy.
I will say this, when I was at FMC Rochester, the team there was very good at that. They did a very good job. But as a mentor, one of the things that it would help is to encourage your mentee to don't be afraid to speak up. If you need something that you're not getting, you got to speak up for yourself and let somebody know. It helps if you can kind of be your own advocate there and speak up if you need something.
Absolutely.
And that's part of what we speak to when we're talking about the educational part of this. What we do is, like I think John mentioned it earlier, whether it be procrastination or just feeling, you're not a helpless individual. We know you're in the institution. We know they tell you when to get up, when to eat, we know that. But when you're talking about your reentry, that is on you. That is on you, and how persistent and how consistent you are with making sure that the people who are supposed to provide these things, that people who are supposed to help you obtain these things, that they do their job. It's unfortunate that it's like that, but that's what it is. So it's the squeaky wheel gets the whatever you want to call it. You have to be persistent. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, and again, as mentors, those are the things these are things that, people sometimes have let life happen to them a lot, right? And then when you're in a place where, hey, you have that routine, you just do what they tell you to do. Keep your head down. There's some things that you're gonna have to stick your head up. You have to stand up on your own 2 feet, and have people acknowledge that, hey, this is who I am, and this is where I am, and this is what I need. And sometimes you may have to do it 10 times before somebody finally says, okay, well, help him, because I'm tired of hearing from him or her, because it's easy if you go away and they don't worry about it anymore.
Great advice. And that's why it's great to have these conversations and bring these things out. And now we've given our TRP staff more work.
Yeah, we'll be all right. It's just a question. Yeah. Do you have your I-9 requirements, and do you have them in hand? And because I've had situations where guys said, "Hey, I came in with all my stuff," and then when I got to the door for release date and they gave me my stuff, I'm like, well, "Where's my? It's not in there." And then people transfer from prison to prison, especially federally, from prison to prison, periods of time, and it's like, well, I know I came with those things, and now I look at my stuff and it's not there. Sometimes it has happened. I mean, I was around long enough to see all the gamut, but I mean, I think part of it again is this is the process. Sometimes it's much easier for some than it is for others. And I think, being there to be supportive, is going to be important to do that. But what I will do, we will make sure that we're asking that question well before they're out, as much as possible. And not only to say, oh yeah, my aunt has it. Well, tell your aunt, to go put eyes on it, and you talk to her and say she has it. She's looking at it, because, like I said, somebody will say they have it, and then they tucked it away somewhere, forgot it, or moved somewhere and tossed it with them, with some things that they threw out. So, but it is really, really important to have those things, for pretty much every aspect of what people need when they're coming out for reentry. And thanks for bringing that up, whoever brought it up.
Anyone else?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
So I have a sort of a little different issue. So I have ladies that I work with. I haven't heard a woman's name mentioned once at all here. But one of the issues that I have is they are not in Minnesota. And
Yeah, what?
pardon?
Say that again.
So they're not in Minnesota, these women.
Mhm.
And finding resources for them outside of Minnesota or in their state, which I'm not familiar with. And some of them in the places that they are in, they're not familiar with. So what resources do you have that are for people that are out of state? How are you, I have a woman who she has gone on, I think she said 13 interviews.
So
I'm in the association, so I don't know if I said that.
But yeah, so she's gone on 13 interviews. I'm just trying to figure out how we can help her.
So we have our support services that they're probably in touch with. I know at least one of your mentees are in touch with our mentor services. That's Malcolm and Alan. And I would encourage also for them to be in touch with them so that if they're in a specific area, they can look for those resources in that area. With our women, I got you, Alan. With our women, most are they're coming from Wasika, so they're federal, and so most of them are not being released here in Minnesota. So yeah, Alan.
Yeah, what I would recommend is they can actually Google right there companies that hire felonies or felons or felony friendly companies. Because if they are applying for somebody that already does hire felons, they have a much better chance of success. The other thing is every state's different. Like in Minnesota, they can just go to their county for resources. I don't know what it's like in their state, so that might just be something that they would have to Google for that individual state. If there's a county or whatever the process is, counties are amazing here in Minnesota as far as resources. Or the other thing is churches. A lot of churches have some type of connection with food shelves and etc.
I will say this too, is also have them reach back to our direct services, not just direct services, but to our employment director, because we do have relationships with companies that are international or that are in multiple states. So sometimes it's a matter of and we do have relationships with them. We have been able to outreach to somebody in, I believe it was Texas, where he was trying to get a job with the railroad, and he said, he had been trying, and we had a relationship with the HR person here who then contacted someone there, and now he's down there and he's doing extremely well, making real, able to have a livable wage. But that was not probably going to happen if we didn't have a relationship with that business. Yeah, and the sad truth is Minnesota is the social service capital of the world, and people love it here because they are helping. They help counties. They're expected to. Just my experience, and not just personally, but with people that I know, sometimes you go south of the Mason-Dixon line and they're not giving you jack. You've got to get in where you fit in. You got to make it, and it's hard to it's really so different when sometimes the individuals communicate with people who are here and they say, oh yeah, they helped me with this and I got that, and you're at a place where it's just not there. That's not how they do that's not how they do business, and
yeah, this particular lady is in Atlanta that I'm thinking of. So
sure.
Mason-Dixon.
Jasmine and Malcolm.
Yeah, so a really quick
So
one
I would
is
think, Oh,
Go ahead, Jasmine. Go ahead, Jasmine. I can
Jasmine,
finish it up. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so I was thinking, have you seen the resume? And I'm not for sure if all states, but do the states have, most states have workforce centers, don't they? Or I don't know. Do they have workforce centers? Like, do we need to go
Most
over
do.
the resume with the individual to see if that's the problem? And then as far as like are they getting the interviews and they're not accepting the jobs, or is it certain types of jobs that they're applying for? Because I was incarcerated before, and I'm not gonna lie, like I thought minimum wage was $15 in Minnesota. My first job was $12 an hour plus tips, and I was like, "What? I could have swore in Minnesota, how could you even offer me this?" But I took it because I didn't have anything else. So
Malcolm.
that's all I wanted to
So,
say.
so my recommendation as well for you, Linda, and I think you've attended because I've seen you on it. We have a ladies fellows meeting third Saturday of every single month. Encourage said fellow mentee to join that call. She will hear from her peers on that call. Every single fellow that's a lady that's on that call is about 90% out of state. So they're all in different states. And on those calls, we can actually like liaise with, like Odell was talking about, Dave, who's our employment director, or myself or Alan, and we can give resource information directly to them. And she can hear stories, because when we first started the consortium meeting for them, there was probably 70% of the ladies that were not employed and had exact same issues going on. And now I can easily say about 90% of them are employed, minus probably just one or two. So again, they can share stories and resources about how they got it in, Nebraska or Omaha or Atlanta or wherever, and then maybe they can use the same thing. So it's key that she joins. And again, she'll get encouragement from her peers, right? So she'll keep that hope alive to not give up, and we can all speak towards things like that. So just encourage her to join those meetings, and we can give you our information. If she's not already on it, she should be.
That would be great if you can pass me that information. I can also pass it to the other mentees to make sure that everybody has the supports in place that they need. It's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Anyone else?
No, I'll just, if we're getting ready to end, I just want to just, thank all you folks for your volunteer work. I mean, this stuff is priceless, and it's definitely needed. I mean, people, I just honestly have seen and believe that people have it increases the chance of success so drastically when they have somebody who has, and don't ever think for a second that you being that one person that's communicating with these individuals who are trying to make it back into the community and reentry, that it doesn't make a difference, because it really does. It is. I mean, we have all kinds of evidence and all kinds of statistics that says people with mentors tend to do better than those who are without them. And I want to thank John for kind of putting together something that I believe is way more robust than we had in the past, because it is definitely necessary and it's definitely helpful. So I just want you to know that we truly appreciate your time and your energy and the efforts that you're putting into the TRP and the individuals that we're working with.
And I have my boys here this week. And so from my family to yours, I want to say Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
And everyone, you could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me today, this morning, on this beautiful Saturday morning, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you very much. Everyone, please have a blessed month. Reach out to me for any issues that you're having. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.